An ongoing war with a neighboring country, followed by an economic recession. My father passed away, leaving nothing but debt, and mother went into recuperation from the shock. On top of that, my brother got scammed and lost his fortune. And now we're thrown out of our grandparents' house that we relied on, with nowhere to go. Yet still, those circumstances are what brought me here. But there is a man who looks at me as if I am the most beautiful thing in this world. Is it so wrong of me to enjoy that? The story covered today contains mature content such as intimate acts. No graphic material will be shown in this video, and acts will only be described vaguely. Hello, my sweeties. It is time once more. Manta Comics has given me access to yet another of their stories, and I'm here to tell you about it and let you know what I thought of it. Now, the story we're talking about today is called The Beast Within. You have the full version and the tailored version. Now, the difference is that in the full version, there are some spicy scenes, meaning some more explicit adult scenarios. Meanwhile, the tailored version either skips over those scenes or heavily censors them if you do not want to see any adult content at all. Now, I will say I actually took a look at both just to make sure I could give you the most accurate retelling. And I will say that the tailored version has a couple moments where there's flashbacks to scenes that you don't get in the tailored versions, but only in the full version. So at times it can be a little confusing because there's going to be some time gaps in the tailored version. So if you do not mind seeing adult spicy content in this comic, I would suggest going with the full version to get the full picture and an easier oversight over everything that's going on. But you can still enjoy the tailored version as well, as long as you're aware that there might be some gaps or some throwbacks to moments you probably won't know in the tailored version, since it skips over events that would have been explicit. Now, with that being said, let me tell you a little bit more about the Beast Within. So, the tropes that we see here is, on one side, our female lead, Lady Ray Lisbon. She portrays the picture book pure princess. She's very innocent, very pure, kind-hearted, timid, shy. Now, of course, her love interest, the male lead, is going to be the polar opposite. Something very impure, something very dangerous, and very edgy. We also have a second character that is somewhat important in the beginning of the story. Now, the second character is going to be Hayes Lisbon. He is Ray's older brother, and from the beginning on, we see him as more of an antagonist. He is very much looking down on his sister for various things. Something we are very early introduced to is the fact that Ray cannot read, and it is heavily implied that Hayes is a reason why she wasn't taught, yet he still holds it above her. Aside from that, it's also implied that he is yelling at her a lot, that he has raised his hand at her before. But at the same time, he also says things about how he will protect her, how he wants to treat her like a queen and enable her to have a safe and good life. So he is very much a very flawed character that both wants to be a protector while also being an abuser in that sense. Now, the whole reason our two leads meet is the fact that family Lisbon had their head, the father, pass away, leaving a lot of debt. Aside from that, there's also a war region in their lands, which leads to the children, Ray and Hayes, to flee, seeking help and shelter at another noble family. The noble they seek shelter with is Lord Cloden Cassell, and it is said that the Lisbon family did a favor for his a while ago, which now leads to him owing them a favor in a sense. As the carriage ride progresses and they get to their destination, we further learn that Hayes seems to be very arrogant in nature, talking down, rather demeaning, to the carriage owner, as well as later the butler of House Castle, which again is very much the opposite of our female lead, Ray, who is trying to keep her brother in check and be polite in his stead, which he does not very much appreciate. Once they arrive at the Castle estate, they are treated very coldly. Hayes tries very rudely to demand entrance into the manor, which he does not get. He is refused entry by the butler, who does change his mind after Ray presents a letter and asks for forgiveness for her brother's rudeness. Shortly after entering, they do already get introduced to the male lead, which is of course Sir Cloden, and he very much does not beat around the bush. The first interaction, he right away inquires about Ray's marital status, asking if she's engaged and remarking that she is rather pretty. Now he agrees to host them, but has a couple of rules. First of all, Ray and Hayes are forbidden to enter the 3rd floor. And then secondly, there are specific days where they are not to leave their rooms. Now Hayes is going to be absent for longer periods of time as he seeks a business venture in order to restore his family's fortune, for which he also seeks financial aid from Cloden. He does permit it, to the surprise of both Ray and Hayes. It is implied that Hayes had made a bunch of bad investments before, so Ray is very much afraid that this business venture again will also fail and put them in bad stands with Lord Cassell. However, that aside, they are housed there but treated still rather coldly by the servants, which is something that Hayes reacts to very angrily. Meanwhile, of course, Ray is still very kind, trying her best to be considerate and not cause any trouble. As readers, we will notice that Cloden is already very interested, which keeps pushing our plot forward very fast. So if you're looking for something more slow-paced, this is probably not it, but if you enjoy fast-paced storytelling, then this might be up your alley. I will say, in the full version, it also gets rather spicy rather fast, so just keep that in mind. Now, even though they are technically forbidden to go up to the 3rd floor, Cloden ends up inviting Ray to join him up there, which is the first time they get closer with each other. He is striking up a conversation with her regarding the topic of books. Now, being unable to read, Ray is very overwhelmed in this situation, constantly trying to deflect the topic, which does not seem to sit right with Claudine, and eventually leads up to them being rather touchy with her. Now, Ray, as the portrayal of innocence, has never had those feelings before, doesn't really know where to place them, but she notes right off the bat that she enjoys receiving that kind of attention from him and enjoys this kind of touch and is not opposed to more. Their first close encounter is cut short when Hayes returns from one of his business ventures to talk to Lord Cassell. Seeing her close to their current benefactor does not sit right with Hayes, but of course, in front of their benefactor, he does not say too much. However, he does belittle her again, calling her a liar. Since they were bonding over a book and she did not bring up the fact she can't read, Hayes is calling her uncultured, illiterate bumpkin and that she lied to his grace. Ray gets very flustered by that, immediately seeks to escape, and therefore puts another barrier up again. Now, eventually, she fesses up and wants to apologize to Claudine and return the book after hiding from him a couple days. Once she approaches him and enters his chambers, she interrupts him in rather intimate activities. Upon that, she is sent out of the room again, yet decides to return wanting to apologize. Now, after she returns and apologizes, things again get rather close between the two. And if you read the full version, that's where you can start to see some of the more spicy content really come out. If you stick to the tailored version, you'll be leaving that encounter very well knowing that there is tension and physical interest between the two, but you're not quite aware of how far that has progressed. Now, after this encounter, they continue to meet and he teaches her how to read. However, while all of that happens and Hayes is out on another business venture, he hears rumors and warnings about how no one would get close to this manor and how they're surprised someone would even dare to go there. Something unnatural would be going on, something dangerous, and at first he does not pay that much mind. He thinks the villagers are merely stupid peasants who don't know better. But he soon comes to realize that something is off with the butler and, well, the master of the house as well. Upon realizing that, he immediately seeks to escape with his sister. Now, it happens to be a specific day on which Ray and Hayes were supposed to stay away from any of the other staff for good reason, as you'll find out if you read, because the true nature of the people in this estate are about to be revealed, and it is a rather dangerous one. Ray, unknowing of any of that and already being as close as she is to Claudine, of course doesn't believe anything Hayes says. For probably the first time in her life, she refuses to cooperate, to go with him, and instead stays and demands that he let her stay. In the end, he ends up out of the picture in one way or the other, while the relationship between our innocent Ray and our edgy May lead becomes less and less than innocent. Now, I was able to read up to chapter 10, so anything that will happen past here, you'll have to find out for yourself. But I do hope that this little introduction could already pique your interest, or maybe determine that this might be a story you don't want to look into. If that is the case, feel free to have a look at some of the other stories on Manta. My personal favorites are High Society, Under the Oak Tree, as well as Disobey the Duke If You Dare. That aside, what is my personal opinion on The Beast Within? Now, for me personally, it was a little bit too fast-paced. The character of Ray is again very innocent, very unknowing of anything. For me personally, she flips the switch a little bit too fast when it comes to getting physical, which is something she has never had before, never knew before. She's just very eager to give in to urges awakened by the male lead, which is just a bit too fast for me. It really takes only a few chapters to really amp up. I've only read 10 of the chapters, and in the full version, things already get steamy that quick. So if you want a slow burner, I don't think this is for you. If you want to really get right into action, and if you enjoy when things get spicy, then this story is definitely for you. The male lead is definitely mysterious. He's very edgy. He is very handsome, of course. He is selfish and in a way is also cruel, but knows how to amp up the charm. He is definitely possessive, so if that's a trait you don't appreciate in a story, I would steer clear. But if it's something you enjoy, then you definitely get your fill on here. He is very much possessive over Ray, but she is very eager to accept it. She is very open to it and seems to really enjoy having someone be that way with her. The story covers things like demons, emotions. It is not entirely clear how it will pan out in the end. It is very much kept a mystery throughout the episodes I was able to read, but always in the back of your mind that there is more behind everything than is being let on yet. So if you're looking for a romantic mystery, maybe even a little bit spicy, I would say give it a try. Thank you very much to Manta Comics for sponsoring this video, and I do very much hope that you will enjoy checking it out for yourself. I'll have the link in the video description. And with that, I wish you a good night. Thank you to my channel members, Radio Pierce, Lehua, and Holly Henry. If you too would like early access to my videos and exclusive content, feel free to join the membership as well. If you enjoy what I do, please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video.